Good afternoon. Can you hear me good? All right, there's been a lot of inspiring stories today, and I appreciate hearing them. And thank you, Darren, for the opportunity again to speak here. And it's good to be among people we're of the same vein, trying to do the same thing. I'm going to share a bit of my journey through poetry, and there's a lot of insightful stories. And I came here yesterday, and there was a lectern, but now I feel a bit naked, but I'm appreciating that now, okay? Early age, you know, my dad left when I was 5. My mum, she had 3 children and then more children, single parent, dyslexic. She couldn't cope. Me, I was a wild child. From out of my nappies, I was there on the streets, doing my own thing. My mum couldn't cope. At 10 years of age, I left school. I'm neurodiverse, and they put stuff on the blackboard, and before I wrote it down, it would be gone. And then the fact playgrounds can be terrible and children can be terrible, and getting laughed at, being called names by my poor state of my clothes. All of this combined into school, for me, no way. Sometimes the social worker, the police would come, take me to school, out the window. That was me. Eventually, on my 14th birthday, which I don't think it would happen now, I was stealing scrap metal from a derelict factory and weighing it in because people in my street were doing it, so I thought it was okay. And on my 14th birthday, they sent me to a young offenders institution. That was a short, sharp shock, which was the name of it in time. Just before going into the children's home, just before going into prison, I was put in the children's home. Now, that was great, because for the first time in my life, I was getting pocket money, I was getting clothes bought for me, and people showed that they cared. But then I got put in prison, and then when I came out of prison, the children's home that was no longer available for me, back into the non-caring family, non-support. So it was me on my own, doing my own thing. Now I'm going to start with another poem, a first poem. This one is called Non-Standard. When neurodivergency intersects with ethnicity, disability, gender and identity, the dynamic effects gave me cause to pause and reflect on how much has changed since way back when I lovingly clutched little cardboard cut magical words at home in a tin and asked for help deciphering. Tick, tick, tick. That's the sound of considering thoughts taking heed. It wasn't I would not, it was just a simply, I could not read. Age 5, waylaid on the way to school by Mike. Taught to skive, steer and lie invites. If safeguarded, would I have paid coinage of time or even committed crime? Because now I see through the veil of county lines, because I am not a young mind dazzled blind by false gold mines crossing obscure lines. And in hindsight and reflection, never questioning perceptions, innocently expecting acceptance, I realise I was failed by institutional rejection. And I questioned my first social worker. Did he really see me? Or just a young adult thug? Or did he fear getting it wrong? And I wonder whether the system recognises vulnerability of race-based trauma, of multi-ethnicity. Because sometimes I see flashbacks of race-based trauma, distress expressed, being deemed irrelevant. Because salient characteristics are missed, with assumptions on language, behaviour and abilities. And this intersects with responsibilities of affinities for the lost in the process of polarization of non-typical and typical, being squeezed into descriptions and not seeing multifaceted prisms. Disabilities are stigmatized in communities with generational blame and low diagnosis and access to support because of shame. The same are suspicious of authorities, attitudes lacking and not understanding BAME. But maybe with right address early neurodivergence would not disproportionately be represented in custody. And maybe I would not have thought how different my walk rather than conform as others. And now, in middle age, I discover letters after my name, accolades and some acclaim. I claim no plan due, no review, send assessment at any stage. Missed by a system until a section, a crisis or encaged, because not acknowledging the entirety of BAME. Refrain from just seeing disorders and deficits of dyspraxia, dyslexia, autism, ADHD, but see neurodivergence, managing mental health courageously. See the picking up of racial bias, pretty difficult to articulate, being looked at a particular way and wanting to run away, rather than to truthfully explain. See honesty, see authenticity, see the deepest reaches inner parts of me, embracing words as a way to function, learning in a place, squeezing diamonds into prison cell shapes, with booms and shakes of cell doors closing, the quiet swish and a click of a pen when writing, in diaries rather than fighting. And it is proven neurodivergence access more parts of the brain, but more places need to train awareness with visual prompts, and for literal thinkers, without written page, things vague remain. Obvious to me can be oblivious to you. Likewise construe, this goes out to many of us too, and I guess it's true in approaches to life. Walk past blindly, we leave the predictable. Yet the neural distinct genius within initiates myriad futures. However, unfortunately, there ain't no handbooks on etiquettes on how to behave or conform to considered norms. But strategies can be trained for when bright white light makes me drained, or when needing a switch-off breather to close hypervigilant eyes to prepare memory for the present of presence in a non-standard brain. Thank you. So, growing up without the support, I do now, nearly half a century years of age, I do recognise how support and family, the big difference that it makes. And going up from the lady from the Luna Foundation, she was speaking, sharing a story about I Am. I was involved with a charity called Ruby Girl and Rough Diamond. I was mentoring and speaking in the schools and colleges, which was a gift because you can give the wisdom back to the youth. And like I say, some people grab hold of that bit of information, action on it, and it's great to see the results. For myself, one of the things, I was asked to create a poem, and I was given a theme, and I said, well, I am, because I am, to me, it's got lots of meanings, you know, it's in the Bible, and it's also, I am, I think, therefore I am, and it's a positive affirmation. And also, going from my head was a saying from Marcus Garvey, without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life, but with confidence, you're already a winner. And this I am statement. So I created a poem. I am unstoppable. Not quite like a locomotion's fast-paced, hurtling motion. No, I am unstoppable since being unbound from the blood, bled and shed and fears for years unfolding paths ahead. From a past aftermath of things I did and said, while not understanding nor believing in the concept of being, I am. But now I am the dream being reworked, the dreamer, innovator, creativity creator, perception, perceiver, and unstoppable believer in being I am. But I'm also the spiraling, spinning, tumbling downs, drowning beneath deep waves of depression. I'm the deepest and shallowest thoughts expressions, and all of the love that are sought and hateful rejections. I'm a collection of connectivity, coalescing to connect the entire universe in a verse, to be birthed amongst shouts of jubilant joy, where we dance exuberantly as every whispered revolutionary word can be heard, raised up a dust to heights, flying higher than every exploding rocket bright, and blazing brighter than all of the fires and Guy Fawkes of Bonfire's night. I am the paradise lost and the paradise found, amid bookshelves and life's cordite clouds. I am the beginning and the end, revived and thrust forth to reunite this riven kingdom from inner schisms, divisions, until I am no longer divided, but a united kingdom, become a given gift, manifested in this present. A gift manifested through life's refining fires of highs and lows, eddies and currents and undertows, into an unstoppable master plan where we rise and soar from the ashes. Simple being, I am. Thank you. I first got involved with expert citizens. I was on probation at the time, and I've also worked for probation, which is a lot of turnaround. I was on prison licence after release from prison 8 years ago. While on prison licence, I volunteered for the senior senior attendance centre, and eventually probation service offered me a job. And this was while I was on licence, which was surreal, because I was reading, I see myself on computer, that I'm an offender. It's nuts. But it was really a proud moment being able to say, you know, I'm a probation officer. A big turnaround. There's been lots of turnaround. Like when I started writing in prison, I got involved in Costler Trust. My first ever poem was published by them. I got an award. And my thought was, people like me, we don't win anything. That's what I was thinking. But then I got a certificate. I thought, wow. And I got a postal order. I wasn't getting money from people, so this money would help me. And I thought, okay, I got lucky that time. But then the Prison Reform Trust run a competition. I got shortlisted, and I thought, wow, you're onto something here. I went to the library, got the writer's yearbook, and I started sending off scripts and plays to learn the craft of writing. Just so happens, the same competition, the Cursor Awards that I entered, years later, I was sitting in where they judge it, in Wormwood Scrubs, and I was judging the same award that I entered years earlier. Yeah. With Cursor, I've won 2 platinums, a gold, a silver, been exhibited at Birmingham Museum Art Gallery. And that's a big change from the young guy that never went to school. I'm a qualified drug and alcohol counsellor. I've done a lot of good work in the community. It's changed. I mean, I remember when I was in prison standing up in front of people, and I made a plan. I says, okay, yeah, I can't change the past, but I can do something. I said, just to like you people here, I says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and I have. Okay. So whilst in prison, I began my writing journey, and somebody believed in me, someone of safe ground. Her name was Charlotte Weinberg, and she says, hey, why don't you co-write an article in a magazine with me, Prison Justice Matters? And I thought, wow, I'm going with the flow here, because, wow, you know. And so that was published, and then I went on to become a trustee of that charity, which delivers art, drama-based relationship programs in prison. I became a trustee of that, and I performed at the National Theatre and the Roundhouse. And to me, I was like, wow. And one good thing with the care leaving conference with the probation service, they had people sign languages from my poetry. Now, to me, I thought, wow, you know. But what the most important thing, this poetry that I was speaking, some of the care leavers in the audience, they was identifying what I was saying, they're picking up things, so just picking it up, and that to me was one of the greatest things. One of the poems that I'd done with Safe Ground was a symposium for the matter of life and death, and that was for the high number of deaths in prison custody. And this is what I wrote. I call it Sonnet Over the Deep, because a friend of mine, he was in prison with me, and he committed suicide. And after that, I was affected. I wasn't speaking for a long time. and I reassessed my whole life. But this poem is called Sonnet Over the Deep. The vast ocean of healing waves that time contains has washed away rubber stamps demarking me as stock. So I will not wander lonely as a solitary, segregated cloud, fearing to put my feet down on dreamed-up punitive policies. I will speak the real reality, now that I have unravelled glinting rolls of razor wire, constricting vocal cords with deepest, darkest thoughts. I will talk words like foreign bodies inserted into ecosystems of carnivorous thoughts to cause reacting attacks and the devouring of ideas along neural paths, so that we, perhaps collectively, can fashion words into sharp focal points to open the same vein onto pages of minds and realise such a didactic discourse it beats uproar on House of Lords door demanding reform. Because we are born into the world with so much to offer, but within a capitalising mass production of assets offsetting taxes, we become just a number. In a place where men and women are walking around shell-shocked, numb, but mentally hyper-vigilant cockguns, expecting hammers to drop, yet another loss, in a system where an afflicted victim ends up lying limp before being zipped tight into a black bag and sent on a journey down a mortuary corridor and slid into a silently sliding drawer, cold, alone, when they could have been within supportive arms at home. So I want to put in a governor's application to revisit the prison before my first ever poem was written, and John was alive and living, and trying to hide or flee from his inner demons and not seeing people creeping until feeling that cast glass shattering his visage, cutting fissures, and sharp homemade shank knife glinting under harsh prison cell light. Because now I need to take an eternity of breaths before stepping into an etched picture of a hanging corpse deeply scored into thoughts, along with the heart-shredding sounds echoing down long lineages of unjustly cut short family trees, and the deep grief of not understanding the loss of a life after entering a dark, hungry hole and almost futile struggle to survive. But there could have been so many more positive sources of light. There could have been someone there by his side, teaching with artistic, innovative methods as weapons and tools to not only survive but thrive. Instead of feeling like a fool who stood looking at diving up across crumbs descending like dead stars, while trying to stuff them into austere, threadbare pockets along one of the broken pathways back behind bars. But what if a sonnet had hovered over the face of his abject blackness and deposited a seed? It would have grown a smorgasbord of thought-spawning branches. Imagine if John had reached out a hand to grab artistic attributes divine and feasted on the fruits of truth dangling right there on the vine. His thoughts would have begun running ragged breaths until there was nothing left of the perpetuating cycle where lifeblood falls down DNA-scrawled walls onto dirtily protesting, defecated floors. His life skies would have opened so wide, a vast expansive, boundless beyond, causing him to gaspingly choke on agoraphobic breaths. Instead, my friend is no longer acid. He's dead. Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to end, I got 1 minute left. So, as I said, when I first got involved with expert citizens, that was through, I seen a notice at probation, a flyer for competition. It is 1,001 lives, and it was to challenge stigma. So I got the receptionist, who then became a colleague later on, to video a short poem which I entered, and I got presented with an award by Darren as an expert citizen. I wish I had the photo, some award at home. So the poem was this. I look out of my window and dream what I should see. Cloudless skies and butterflies in a place I long to be. There is a meadow full of colour, with shady trees surround, with a river running through where ducks and geese abound. Grasshoppers click amongst the reeds, swallows soar before they dive. Man, this is where I wish to be, where the whole world is alive. But all I see are rooftops and some distant city streets, and I can only glimpse of them by standing on a toilet seat. 4 small walls enclose me, payment for my deeds done. But still, I will go on dreaming, for I know my time will come. Thank you.